I'm just gonna jump right into the presentation. Jess is here from Boombox, and if you guys have questions and stuff, he can liaison there. And I'm also going to have a big section for Q&As at the end. I know that's important for you all, so I might even skip through a lot of this stuff so I have enough time to answer as many of your questions as possible. And let's jump into the presentation. Okay. Um, and let me view that full screen. Okay. Jess, do you want to mute? Oh, everyone's muted. Please, everyone, make sure they're muted. Everyone should be muted, or it'll be chaos. Okay. And let me just pull up the chat. Okay, and also in the meantime, maybe you guys can all comment where you're tuning in from, maybe your Instagram handle.
What's up, everybody?
Hey. So yeah, and then let me make sure that is there. Okay, good. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Sides. I graduated Berkeley in 2012, and I had this feeling of imminent doom of how was I going to make money doing music, right? It took me 10 years of failure, rejection, running to gigs, feeling sorry for myself, um, to finally figure it out. I turned 30 during the height of COVID and I was unemployed, had no gigs, no prospects, and really felt like a loser. And because of that time, I learned how to produce music and I learned how to post on TikTok, and it really changed my life. So a horrible thing, if anyone's going through like a really horrible time, just know that that might be the pivotal moment for you to actually create something totally different. I would have never expected, if you would have asked me even 4 years ago, that there would be over 200 people in a class me talking about how to build my music business in music tech. I wouldn't have believed you, like really wouldn't have. So if I can do this and I can make a change, you can too. I'm just a regular schmegular girl who likes music. Like if I can do it, you can do it. Um, okay. So the first thing that I think you should all ask yourselves is, what do you want to do? Um, this is a lot harder than you think it is because I know a lot of you want to do a bajillion things, but you really have to deep down and do some soul searching. And if you don't know exactly what you want to do, you should ask yourself, what do you want? How do you want to feel? Like for me, I was really tired of running around to gigs, but I knew I wanted to still be able to create and perform, but I didn't want to I personally don't find the joy in making money off of my music, but I wanted to make money creating music. So I kind of figured out a loophole for myself, which is I can make money creating music for music tech companies and literally make videos about, like repitch or revoice and that kind of stuff, but they need original music. So for me, it was like a full circle of what I created. I basically created my whole industry around all the stuff that I wanted for myself. So if it's someone like you and you're like, okay, I really love mixing and mastering, I don't want to work in a studio, I want to be able to work with people all over the world, this is what I want to do. And then you can start building it up and you build it up around exactly what you want to do. Um, and some of you might want to do multiple things, and I like to think of it as stairs, like get to one thing first and then do the next one and do the next one and do the next one. And like for me, my first step was, okay, I want to work with music tech companies. I want to work with companies like Apple and Apogee, and I don't want to have to pay for gear. I want everything to be sent to me. So that was step one. Now, step two, which is what I'm working on this next year, is I want to be the music tech company, or I want to build something that's going to like change the industry and follow with my mission statement, which is to make music production and music business building more accessible to more people. So this is pretty much step one. And this is where I feel like most people skip on. They don't do exactly what you want to do. They just try to do whatever, doing too many things, and they're not organized and they're not strategic, and that's why they fail. So, if there's one thing you've learned today from the whole class, really do some soul searching and ask yourself the tough questions to know what it is you want to do. And then you could start building your career around that. Okay, so set goals for yourself. Remember, you are your own boss now. Unless you have money and or connections, no one is going to hand you anything. Nobody handed me anything. So write down your goals. I'm really big, and this is the end of the year, so this is the perfect time to do it. I always write a vision board. I always write down my goals, and then I'm a goal-oriented person, so I just work towards them little by little every day. Okay, so I want to talk a bit about business management. Here are kind of like the steps. Like I said, I'm going to breeze through a lot of this stuff so you can, and you'll get a replay of this so you can watch this later. But I want to breeze through this so you have enough time to ask me questions at the end. Okay, so let's talk about becoming official. I don't know who's going to NAMM this year, if you're any going to like in real life events, but do not waste your money on business cards. It's a waste, it ends up in the garbage. Do one of these. You guys can, take a screen. You can hold your phone up to this right now and you can see what it would look like. This is just basically like a virtual card. Make one of these. And then what else I use is I just use a free Gmail account. I set up a website, but I honestly don't even really use my website that much. It's mostly my link in bio that people go to more so. So don't waste your money on a website unless you are selling stuff. And even then, I pretty much just have my landing pages go to my link in bio. Mailing list is so important. Start collecting emails as soon as possible. Give away free stuff, host free events, whatever you can do. Like emails, sometimes like I'll just send an email to people and I'll make a ton of money or whatever I'm selling or whatever I'm promoting. Whether if it's you have a Spotify link or you're giving away a rack or a sample pack or whatever, you can make a lot of sales just from your mailing list, and it's a great way to stay in contact with people. And then this is the virtual business card. Okay, let's keep going. Branding. So everyone has a brand. Even if you don't know it, you are a brand. What you wear, how you act, what you speak, the colors you choose are a part of your brand. So define your brand. Like for me, I keep my stuff very girly. I don't know why, but because my mission statement is to make music production more accessible to more people, something about pink, bright colors seems to me pretty approachable, right? So that's part of my brand. I also make sure I usually wear a t-shirt. Like t-shirts are part of my brand. My hair is blonde, whatever. So once you define your brand, try to stay consistent. Less is more. Like you really only need like 4 or 5 brand colors and you can kind of just like stick to this, and you don't need to overthink it. If you just stay consistent to how you're doing things all the time, this will just happen organically. Okay, how I set prices. I know this is a big topic for people, so let's go into it. Ask around. I'm always asking, okay, what my other colleagues, maybe I'll talk to for content, right? I do a lot of content creation for music tech companies. That was like my main goal. So maybe I'll ask my friends, hey, what do you charge for content? Or if you're a mixing and mastering engineer, you can ask your other friends, like, what do you charge? And then you can kind of base it around that. Also, a lot of times when people ask me for work, I will ask them, okay, what's your budget? And then if somebody says, okay, I have $1,000 for a video, now I know that's the going rate, especially when 1, 2, 3, 4 people are offering that. So that if another person comes to me and says, hey, can you make a video for 150? I'm like, absolutely not, so you kind of know what the going rate is. Then you also have to decide like what your time is worth, right? So like I've gotten a lot of sample packs, vocal packs. I've done a bunch of those, and someone may be like, okay, I can give you $700 for a vocal pack. And that to some people might seem like a lot of money, but you have to think about, okay, if I'm making 100 vocal samples, I'm writing 100 hooks that people can use. I'm also editing those hooks. I'm tuning those hooks. I'm labeling those hooks. I'm exporting those hooks. And that takes me 1,000 hours. I'm making less than I would working at McDonald's, so it's like maybe that doesn't balance out. So balance, okay, if this is going to take me X amount of hours, I need X amount of rate. Not everything is about the price. You can think of like the relationship or the long term or the whatever makes sense to you, but keep that all in equation. I think some people will be like, okay, I'll produce a song for you for 150 bucks, and they get all excited about that. But the song is like takes so much time and so many revisions, and then in the end you aren't making nearly enough for what you're charging. So you have to keep that in mind. And again, not everything is about money, so you have to decide what you feel comfortable charging, you know? Sometimes I don't charge anything for a product or a startup or something I believe in. So a lot of times I do vocal collabs for free, you know, because I don't have to use that as my main source of income because I've figured out this like loophole for myself with working the music tech companies. I don't really need to worry about royalty streams and stuff like that. I can just make songs that I think is going to get good exposure, whatever, you know. So you can you can decide what's important to you and then experiment, like where's the sweet spot. You know, sometimes I try to push the limits, especially when I'm like selling courses and stuff. Like sometimes I feel like, okay, if I sold it for for this money, it did a lot better than if I pushed it too high. But sometimes I'll push it a little high to see what happens, and it's like, oh, okay, I didn't really get as many sales as I did when it was at that price. So this is how I do it. Okay, let's talk about sales. So my sales technique. I'm really good at sales. This is something that I have a background in. I actually learned this from working at Equinox for a year, selling gym memberships. It was probably the worst and best experience I've ever had in my life. If any of you guys are in an opportunity where you can really learn sales, even if it's for a short amount of time, I think it is life changing because I feel like many musicians miss this step, and this is the step that will really. And it doesn't matter what you do, like if you're doing mixing, mastering, an artist, whatever, learning sales and being able to overcome these situations and convince people is really important. So step one is always to try to find the pain point. And the only way you're going to find the pain point is if you ask questions and pay attention. And the pain point can even be what is something, where there's a gap in the industry, you know, or how are there ways that your fans or clients can support you? Um, and so you can think about that, you know. Um, so so for instance, like if you're mixing and mastering for someone and you're kind of like negotiating rates or whatever, you can say, okay, like who has mixed and mastered for you before? If they're like, oh, I do it all by myself. I don't have to spend any money. And they're like, okay, are you happy with the results? Yeah, I mean, they're okay. I feel like it could make my production shine more. And you could say, okay, well, what do you think that's worth? You know, maybe they're like, oh, 100, 200. And then as you get more information, you can kind of offer the solution. And you're kind of always selling a dream, essentially, you know? And you can look at that in a bad way or a good way. You know, we're not you know, crummy car dealership sales here, but you can look at it and say, okay, well, if I mix and master the song for you, this will be able to get the attention, potentially would have more of a chance to get the attention of a Spotify editorial because now they're going to be hearing all these sounds that you spent hours and hours working on that nobody can hear. It gets buried and it doesn't give any place to shine because you haven't hired a professional who spent 10,000 hours training their ears to mix and master. You know, so then you offer them a solution. And then if the solution is worth it enough to them, they will pay. There is a reason that people who have no money at all still go and spend their last dollars on an iPhone and still go and spend their last dollars on sneakers because they value the importance of that of the thing. So you like don't underestimate the power of your worth and what you have to offer somebody. And then another little trick you can try is to create urgency, you know? I really want to help you. You're an independent artist. I know you typically mix and master by yourself. I do have one slot open that I just got canceled and I'm trying to hit my goal, whatever, for this month. So instead of charging you $500 for a mix and master, if you sign up now while I have this gap of time in my schedule, I'll do it for 250. But I literally need to know by the end of the week or something like that. And now that gave them a sense of urgency where they don't have time to really think yes or no, and you can kind of get it in. Another thing you could do is offer something that that like an opportunity that they can't say no to, right? Offer them something that's just too good to be true. So you can say, I'll do it for 250, and if you hate it, I'll give you your money back, or something like that, where it's like, okay, now they have no reason not to say yes or whatever. So stuff you can play with, but sales is so important. Okay, we kind of already talked about that. Okay. And negotiating. So negotiating is another trick to do with sales. They go hand in hand. So I always like to, this is a little controversial, and it really kind of depends on my mood. If I if I'm just kind of feeling sassy and I don't feel like having a conversation, I'm just like, this is my rate. Take it or leave it. But sometimes I'm missing out by doing that, because if I ask them their budget first, their budget might be significantly higher than my going rate. For example, my rate, so I'm very transparent with everything. So like when I make videos for music tech companies, my rate is on Instagram at this point of time like $1,000. Um, Sometimes someone offered me $6,000 for one video. And if I had said, "Oh, my rate is 1,000," I would have missed out on that extra $5,000, right? So you always want to maybe decide if you want to, okay, ask the rate, ask their budget first. And then you could decide if, okay, well, my rate is typically lower. Do you want to be in the middle, or you can just take it, depending on how much work it is. Each video is different. Some things take a lot more time, like learning a new product or learning a new tech, or if you're putting them on the map, whatever. All these things come into play. Um, Always feel confident when you're saying someone's rates. You don't know. It's crazy when I talk to people, because sometimes I'll talk to someone and I'll say, this is my rate, and they'll be like, wow, that's so low. Or you'll talk to someone and they'll be like, that's so high. So you never know what point people are coming to for your rates. So you should always confidently tell your rate. And it shouldn't even be something that you even like think about in a flushing or nervous way. So if you lead with confidence, then that's going to prevail always. And then you can decide how you want to respond to pushback. If you want to work with them and it is important, and you want to figure out a way that to make it work, you can say, I totally understand you're working with a budget of $500. Are you able to meet me somewhere in the middle? I would really love to work with you. I'd love to make this work, right? So you can decide. Or you can be willing to walk away completely. Oh yeah. So the other option, you could say, I really want to work with you. Instead of paying doing one song for 1,000, we could do 3 songs for 800. So then you're giving them a discount over the long run. And this could actually be good if you want to have longer term projects, or longer term, projects. But what's really strong is to be willing to walk away. I walk away a lot. And a lot of times when I walk away, I'll just say, no, sorry, I can't do it at this rate. They'll come back and they'll either meet me at my rate, or now at this point, I'm really turning down a lot of projects, even if they do meet me at my rate, just because I want to focus on my own thing. And a lot of the time, surprisingly, they're begging me to do it. They're desperate. So the power of saying no is so strong, and never underestimate the power of saying no. Because also when you're walking away from something that's not paying your rate, you could be missing out on opportunity of somebody that would come through and would pay your work, would pay your rate. So know your worth, don't settle. The universe will provide. Okay. So now let's talk about how to get the job slash fans slash clients. This is tricky. Like, the industry is not as straightforward as most industries. You don't just become go to school to become a doctor and then become an apprentice and then you become this and work your way up. That's not how it works in the music industry. So these are the ways that have worked for me. I'm going to talk about all of them, and then you're going to have to fly and hustle and get them. So let's talk about job boards. My first job I've gotten, which was singing on a cruise ship, And a lot of this stuff is kind of old because this was like 10 years ago. But my first job I got was on playbill.com, and it was send in a tape of you singing 10 different songs, 30 seconds each, to work as a band singer on a cruise ship. And I did it and I got the job, and that was my first gig. I've gotten work on Sound Better before. I've gotten work on LinkedIn before. I personally haven't gotten work on Fiverr, Upwork, but you can. And I've definitely gotten work on Craigslist before. I don't know how active Craigslist is now. Are you any of you using that to get work? I definitely have. But yeah, this is probably my least favorite way to find jobs, but they do work. The reason why I don't like this way as much is because a lot of these ads are old, or people will put up an ad just seeing what's out there and there's not an actual job really. But can't hurt to keep your eye open. Okay, outreach. This also works, but I'm also not a big fan of outreach. Spamming has worked for me. The second way I've gotten jobs was when I was working in New York City, or I was trying to get jobs singing cover band gigs or wedding band gigs in New York City. And what I did was I would research every single band in New York City, find an email, and say, "Hey, I'm Sides. Well, I wasn't Sides then. Hey, I'm Sabrina. I'm a singer. Here's my media kit of me singing all the songs." And I must have sent out like 1,000 emails, and I did eventually get gigs and get in a band, but it's a lot of work. um it's a lot of rejection also. And it's tough, but you can think of it like a Sims game. Like, don't ask for something until you get to a certain level. So instead of me just being like, "Hey, like, can I have a gig?" I would say, "Hey, I know all the songs. Like, if you ever need a sub or last minute," I would even reach out to singers being like, "Hey, if you ever get sick, like, please put me in as a sub," and build that relationship because they always need subs and stuff. So you can get creative with how you can reach out to them. Like, if you want to produce for somebody, you can find their song and be like, "Hey, I love your song. I love what you did at this X second. This is the kind of music I make, and I would love to make some kind of music together. Let me know if you'd be interested in hopping on a call, and I can even just offer you some constructive criticism on your current productions or whatever." And that's kind of how you can start building the relationship if you want to produce for others. You could show up to people's lives. You can share their posts. Sometimes I've made connections with people just stitching their videos or sharing their videos and just being like, "I'm such a huge fan." And then I've made connections that way. But you always, always, always want to lead with value. I just recently did like a post on Instagram where I said, say what you're good at and say what you're not good at. And then maybe you can meet somebody else that is also good or not good at something, and you can exchange crafts. Okay, networking. So I really love networking in person. I think in-person relationships are always going to be king, even though we have the internet and we can interact with people all over the world. Just having this opportunity to meet somebody in person and to share your personality is going to go a lot further. People want to work with people they like. People are going to want to work with their homies. A lot of times people would prefer to work with someone they like over somebody that is the best at their job. Especially in band work. Like, I don't care if they're the best guitar player in the world. I want a fun hang. I don't want to be showing up to every gig and the guy is a psychopath. So I really do believe in in-person relationships and networking. And then once you network with them and you can continue that relationship and continue that connection through social media. And social media is by far my favorite way to get work. As many of you know, I don't want to go super into this because I do have a social media class, which I'm sure many of you here have taken. And if you haven't, I'll send you like a discount code for that in the follow-up email. But anyways, this is the best way. So let's say you do meet somebody in person, right? You give them your Instagram, and now when they're like, let's say you go to a sync event, right? And they're a sync agent, you've given them their Instagram, and now you're making all this sync content. When they're in the bathroom scrolling on their phone, your video pops up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I actually need music for a show right now, and this is the perfect person." And they just send you the email, and that's it. And now they don't have to go through a list of 1,000 songs to sift through the perfect person for the job when you, who popped up in the bathroom for them, was the perfect person for the job. So this is why social media is so important. I always ask people who take like a one-on-one with me, or even some of you here, like, how have you gotten to this point with me? And then someone will say, oh, I saw your video 2 years ago, or oh, I was just reminded of you just recently. Because I post every single day and I'm always showing up, that's how it works out. Like, I've worked with companies like Focusrite, and they were like, yes, I've been following you for a year. I've just been waiting for the perfect opportunity to reach out to you. So social media is key. I really like to think of it as fishing, right? If you put out the right kind of bait for the right fish, they will come to you. I don't have to do any outreach. I don't have to do any job boards. I don't have to do any spamming. I do still like to go to the networking, the in real life events, because I do think that is very important to have like the face to face connection. But the other ones, I don't do at all. I just do this, and all of my work comes to me to my inbox. Or if I've sold over 1,000 social media classes, and I did it all organically. I didn't pay for any ads. I just would randomly here and there post a video. So do not underestimate the power of social media. So as I said, the first thing, if you got one thing from the class, it's figure out exactly what you want to do and build your career about that. And if it's the second thing, it's social media. Prioritize social media, people. It is life changing. And you don't even need to have 100,000 followers to make all of your money from social media. I know producers that have 5,000 followers on TikTok, and they get all of their production clients from those here and there 5,000 followers. You don't need to be famous. You just need to figure out a way to make content for the right kind of person to help you support your goal. If you post a video every day and you get 30 new people to sign up for an album for the whole year, that's way better than getting one video, having 1 million views, and nobody hires you for anything. So it's all a strategy. Every single thing I post is for my strategy and for my goals, and that's why it has really worked out for me. I went to fun, very quick thing. I just was at a social media event last night where there was people from all different backgrounds of social media, and they have millions of followers, millions, and they haven't figured out a way to monetize because they haven't posted strategically for their goals. And here I am, like actually an itty bitty creator, and I'm able to make all this extra money because I've posted specifically for my strategy. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk about money management. Musicians are notoriously not good at this. I'm really lucky that I have my dad, who's a CPA, and my brother in finance to really teach me, but this is really important. You can reach your financial goals doing music. You can make 6 figures. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. If you have 10,000 true fans and you can get each of them to give you $1 every month somehow, you're making over 100K, or if you have, sorry, I'm really bad with math, 2,000 fans giving you $10, there you can make the 10K a month. Like, it is possible. So break it all down. So let's go on. So really, really important, this one, be in the green. It's not about how much money you make, but it's about how much money you spend. You don't have to buy things you can't afford. You don't need to pay for a fancy website you can't afford. You don't need to pay for fancy pictures you can't afford. You don't even need to pay for fancy production you can't afford. You can do most of these things yourself. And even if it looks homemade, it doesn't matter. You can just, little by little, you'll either get better at it or you'll start making money, and then you can start investing in it slower, more and more and more. The last 2 jobs I've done, the last 2 businesses I was trying to build, which is doing Sides as a singer-songwriter, and also doing the New York Harmonics, which is putting, I built this girl group to go on cruise ships. I spent so much money on those. Like, for my Sides production, I think I spent everything I've made from the cruise ship, which was 30 grand. Because when I was singing on the cruise ship for a year, I made 30 grand in 1 year. I was 22. I walked off the ship and I bought, what did I buy? Costumes. I bought custom costumes, custom photos, PR kits. I spent 30 grand in 6 months and I went to $0. And it was just so stupid because I never even made any money from it. And I did the same thing with the girl group. I spent so much money on sheet music for the ships and costumes, and we got our name trademark, and we didn't make a dollar. So for my third business, Sides Productions, I was like, not today, Satan. I won't spend a dollar on anything I don't need. I did everything DIY, and yeah, I was always in the green. I didn't start buying the $200 a month Kajabi until I was making thousands of dollars a month on Kajabi. Like I already knew I was very DIY. Maybe some of you remember when I was doing classes, I would say, okay, send me money on Zelle or PayPal and I'll send you the link. Like I didn't even want to pay for an automating service. So be in the green. Um, and then, yeah, here's some other things you can keep in mind. So, multiple streams of income. This is a game changer for me. It's very helpful to have, your main thing on top and then multiple different ways you can make money. Oops. So, um, don't so something that I've learned is don't be great at just one thing, but be good at a lot of things, right? So for a long time I was just a singer. But then once I started learning music production, that opened so many jobs for me, from working with music tech companies, which was my main goal from the start, to selling vocal packs, to teaching. These are all the different ways I've made money. To also still singing gigs, which I stopped last year, but I was doing that in tandem for a while. I was doing Submit Hub for a bit. They've changed their thing, but I would get paid to post people's songs in my stories. I was teaching. I was getting a bunch of tips going live. By the way, if any of you are trying to be an artist, you can make. I know people that are making $3, $4, $5,000 a month just going live with a show, going live from their house. They've just created a cool corner in their house. They go live and they collect tips, and you can just go make money that way. Um, yeah, so these are all the different ways that I've made money. And then here's some of my work that maybe you've seen. This was my New York Harmonics group that failed. This is me singing on the ship. This was in a 90s cover band. I've done a lot of commercials for people. I've done I'm sample packs coming out soon. Bunch of stuff, so you can see. Okay, so here's some ways that um I've made money, and then also some ways that you can. Oh, sorry, this is some ways that you can make money. So all the ways that I did, plus there's all these that you can try to do. So I'm just trying to give you some ideas, but you could just really start getting creative in different ways that you can make money. Um, think outside of the box. I know somebody that makes money doing performances for conferences, Google conferences or tech conferences, make money performing at nursing homes. There's so many interesting out of the box ways that you can make money, and you just kind of have to get creative, and you just kind of have to try, just try going out there and try, okay, here's different ways I can make money. Don't just do what someone on the internet is doing. Try a different thing you're doing. For instance, like I made a digital planner. I was like, oh, I want to make a specific music digital planner. So maybe some of you have gotten it. And I just made it by myself in Canva, put it out there, started making some videos with it, and I've sold a bunch of copies. And it's just something I thought I would try. I had no idea if it was going to work. You never know. You never know what will happen until you try. Yes. So I really love the passive income. I used to be very adamant about, I hated doing recorded classes, like recorded courses. I only wanted to do live courses, and I always told myself, "Oh, I'm never going to do a recorded class. It's so lame. Selling courses is so lame." But everyone kept asking me, "Please, can you do a recorded version of the social media class? Please, please, please." So I ended up doing it, and it took me, like a week of work filming and editing. But now I'm able to sell that class over and over and over again, and it is kind of like passive income. So that has really helped me. So here's some things that you can do. You can do beat licenses, you can do memberships, you can sell merch. A lot of them are print to order, made to order, so it is kind of like a passive income. Sheet music, books, sample packs. Again, get creative. You never know what will work until you try it. And then I'm again and once again super goal oriented. So if you have monthly finance goals, put them, decide how much you need to survive, and then how much you want to live well. So it's a need versus want, and then you can try to work towards those monthly. Okay, taxes. The only thing certain in life is death and taxes. So if you are in the US, you should get an EIN number so you don't have to give out your social security number. You can do this by just applying online. Um, Also, if you are working for yourself, you need to make sure you save 30% of your income. Even though I've made over 200K this year, I don't get to keep all of that, unfortunately. I have to give maybe 40, 50, I don't know how much the math is, but I'm going to have to give quite a lot of it back to Uncle Sam. So don't spend it all and then you're in debt and you have to owe the government. Keep track of your income and expenses. And then once you're really in the green and you're making good money, I would really invest in a CPA because they will help you in the long run. Um, Okay, I don't want to go too much into finance stuff, but what I like to do is I personally like to use a credit card for money going out, and that's just an easy way for me to keep track of my expenses. But I always make sure to pay it off in full every month. You don't want to go into debt. You don't want to be paying the credit card companies $100 a month, for interest rates. So debt is no good. And if you can't keep up with this, then you should just stick with the debit card the first way. Um, and that's just how you can spend it all. But typically, I like using a credit card because I also get points and money back from it. So that's another good reason to use a credit card. And then also get a high yield savings account. There's one like Ally Bank. There's one like Marcus. I don't know how it works internationally, but you can be making 4 or 5%. It's almost up to 5% now, money back. So you can have your money be making money for you. So things to keep in mind. Don't just leave your money, all of your money in the debit card. Okay. I don't want to go too far into this today because I definitely want to make sure we have time for you to ask questions. But you guys can read this back if you watch the replay. But basically, the main difference is a sole proprietorship is one owner, and you are responsible for your own liabilities. And an LLC is where you're not responsible for liabilities. So if you feel like you're at risk or a bunch of people are coming to your house, to your studio, and you don't want them to sue you, then you should do an LLC. Or if you don't have any risks, you should start with a sole proprietorship. Um, let's keep going. Okay. Always have a rainy day fund. No gig lasts forever. That's one of the first things I've learned as a musician. So always make sure you have 6 months if things hit the fan and you don't get any gigs. But hopefully that would never happen to any one of us. All right, so I want to quickly talk about the tools I use. I use Boombox, obviously. That's who sponsored this class today, and that's how I share with my collaborators and store my files. I use Calendly to set up all my one-on-ones. It's kind of like my personal secretary, and it's been life-changing. I use Zoom, and I use Gmail, just a free Gmail. I use Kajabi to host my classes, and it's kind of like an all-in-one, but it is pretty expensive, so you don't need to get Kajabi until you're making enough money that it's worth it. And then I did used to use Shopify, and that's where I started, and that's a lot cheaper. It's only $30 a month, I think. And that was when I was, once I started making enough money where after doing the DIY way, I bought Shopify. Oh, and here's some more things. I use Canva. I used to use MailChimp for my mailing list, but now I use everything in Kajabi. And then I use PayPal. I hate PayPal. PayPal is the worst, but everyone likes to use it. PayPal takes so much money. I think they take 5%. I don't know why. I hate them, but I still use them. And Stripe and WhatsApp. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so now I want to talk about the do's and the don'ts. So keep learning. You are never too young or too old to become an expert. I try to learn something new every single day. To me, that's what excites me and keeps me going. Do adapt. Life will throw you curveballs. You have to roll with the punches and you have to pivot. I'm always pivoting. What worked today will not work tomorrow, and what works tomorrow won't work today. So just always keep thinking about that. Um, find the silver lining. Is it an actual breakdown or is it a breakthrough? For me, COVID was a low point for me. Like I said, I turned 30. I was unemployed. The New York Harmonics, which I spent 3 years building, I put all my savings into that, was done for. I lost one of my best friends through that collapse. And now what I would have made 1 week on a cruise, I make in one video. So it really was a breakthrough. That low point has really turned around for me. So if you're going through something hard right now, just know, okay, this might actually be the moment that you can turn things around and find your success through this pain, through this failure. Pay attention. Always try to listen, ask questions, look for trends, look for gaps in the industry. Oh, I wish there was something like this, or I wish I could do this. Make it and start sharing it with people. You never know what can help people, you know? Um, fake it till you make it. I really believe that. I when I was posting Logic Pro tips, my first, like maybe my second or third Logic Pro tip I posted, I was producing for maybe 6 months. I had just bought an interface, like I had just started figuring things out, and I was like, here's a cool Logic Pro tip. And I was very confident with it. And like on the second video I posted, Phineas commented on it, who produces is Billie Eilish's brother and does all her production, was like, damn, I didn't know that. And only because I led with confidence was my video able to get with them. So definitely fake it till you make it. Trust your gut. If it feels like it's shady or against your morals, or what you're comfortable, just leave. Like it doesn't matter if you're making music for Drake or Kanye, whatever it is. Like it, all of these things don't matter as much as you think. Like if you feel uncomfortable, you can leave and just have the confidence and the audacity to know that something better will come along. Okay. Lead with kindness. I think this is really important. I'm always trying to be as kind as I possibly can. It's not really in my nature to be a kind person because I'm so fast-paced and I feel like I'm I just have to really condition myself to say, okay, take a beat to lead with kindness. You can do a compliment sandwich. So, I really like this. This is what you can work on, and I also really like this. So, keep that in mind. Take breaks. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. Not last summer, but 2 summers ago, I just worked nonstop. I didn't prioritize my health. And then when fall came around, I had pins and needles on the right side of my body for like 3 months. And I was so mad at myself because if I just took the time to go outside and walk or just do my little workouts, then I would be fine. So, health is number one. Make a vision board. I'm going to be making my vision board for 2024 in like a couple of days, and I really find that it helps. So make your vision board and celebrate your wins. It could be even small wins. The minute we get to something, we're like, oh, I wish I could get to the next thing, or I wish I could do something better. But take the minute to take a beat and celebrate everything you've done up to this point. Oh, sorry, the wrong way. Okay, don't. Let's go to don't. Don't be afraid to say no. We talked about this earlier. It is one of the most powerful words in the industry. Don't get attached to one idea. If you're trying something because you thought it would work, but it's not working, just let it go and move on and try something else. I'm always trying to make new businesses and new stuff now, and a lot of times some of it works, some of it doesn't work, and you just can't beat yourself up about it, and don't give up just because, or don't feel sorry for yourself because that one idea didn't work. Um you are stronger than you think you are, and you don't have to spend your time and energy feeling sorry for yourself. Just move on, keep going. Don't attach to negative people. This is really important. I really believe in the proximity effect. If all of your friends are saying, "Oh, social media is whack. Social media is just for whack people," and they're still working a part-time job, there's no shame in working a part-time job, but I didn't want one, right? So if people are making fun of me for posting on social media and saying that I'm cringe, well, look who's laughing now. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm able to work with all these companies. I'm getting invited to Apple events and they're not, and they're just being negative people. So don't surround yourself around those people. Surround yourself with people that are better than you. When I was singing, I used to say I want to be the worst singer in the room because if I'm around singers that are better than me, I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to learn from them and I'm going to get better. So it's no thrill for me to be the best singer. What's that going to do for me? Nothing. Don't be afraid to let other people see you trying. It is awkward to make a business. It is awkward to post online. It is awkward. It is scary. It is embarrassing. And maybe you will fail, but don't be afraid to let other people see you trying when they're just sitting around doing nothing and they're not trying and they're feeling sorry. Like, there is no reason for any of us to not even try. So, I hope that speaks to you as much as it speaks to me. Don't compare yourself to others. Everyone is on their own path. It's really easy to compare yourself to others. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't give up. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Social media is not going anywhere. Music business isn't going anywhere. Music production isn't going anywhere. This is for the long term. Don't be ashamed to admit you were wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Sometimes I make videos and I'm wrong, and I used to try to defend myself and defend my honor, and now I'm like, that was so dumb. Whenever I'm wrong, I'm just saying, you're right, I was wrong, I'm only human, move on. That's it. Don't live in the past. It's so easy for us to be like, if only I practiced guitar more. If only I practiced piano more, I would be successful now. If only I got into that job or didn't quit that one thing. Who cares? The past is over. We're just working on now. Don't assume rejection. A lot of times I would go to an audition or I would not go to an audition because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get it. There's no way I'm going to get this. Don't do that. You never know until you try. And maybe you will get rejected from the job, but you will have met somebody at that audition that you make a band with and get super successful. You just never know. Don't lead with envy. They're only successful because of blah blah blah. People say this about me all the time. Oh, she's only successful because of her Logic Pro tips. She's not even a good producer, blah blah blah. Okay, well, if you're such a good producer, why don't you make good content? Then you'll do better than me, right? If you're so much of a better producer than me. So instead of getting jealous from me, why don't you learn from me? Okay, let me also show how good of a producer I am and make good content. Okay. So how to say no? Quite frankly, you could just say no. Or if you struggle with this, you can say no. Don't say no to the gig, say no to the budget. For instance, if someone says, "Hey Sabrina, can you please sing a gig at Taverna tonight?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, how much does it pay? $100." Oh, I'm super busy right now. I can't accept any gigs right now for $100, but I'll do it for $1,000, right? And then they're like, no, we can't pay you $1,000. And you're like, okay, well, they said no to you, right? You didn't say no to them. But if they're like, okay, we'll give you $1,000, well, now I guess you're going to the gig, but at least you've made 10 times more than you anticipated. So that's something that I sometimes do. Someone says, hey, can you make this for me? We have $1,000. And I'm like, no, I'll do it for 10,000. And then usually they're like, no, take a hike. But if they on the off chance they're like, sure, then great, you made some more money than you expected. Okay, so I want to take a quick bit of time before we go into the Q&A. I'm gonna go through these really fast, but the right mindset is 90% of success. This industry especially is 90% mindset, right? You if you have to have the audacity to take bold risks. To take bold risks, the confidence, the unwavering determination. Oh no. How do I don't do that. Who's marking my thing? I don't know how you're doing that, but please don't. Maybe Jess can figure out how to make you not do that. But have the audacity to take bold risks, unwavering determination, and absolute belief that it will happen with hard work and perseverance. So here are some things. I don't know how to make them not do that. Jess, can you or Raphael, can you please stop marking? Okay, so you truly have to believe in yourself and deserve a seat at the table. If you don't believe in yourself, no one will. Okay, hold on one second. I need to figure out how to not get you to do this. It's distracting me. Okay, so you are more capable than you think you are. So you can use mantras. I am good enough. I am talented enough. I put in the work. I show up every day. And then you could start looking at fear in a different way. I'm just going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so failure is a part of success. As I told you my story where I lost all of my work from the New York Harmonics, because I had that failure, I was able to succeed in something that I would have never even imagined. So every failure is an invaluable lesson. When it happens to you, sit down, have those tough conversations. What went wrong? Take the L and get back up and try again. Hard work over talent. I truly believe this. I think hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. Take me, for example. I am not the best producer in the world. For sure, not the best producer. I can't even play an instrument. I've been producing for 3 years. I'm not the best singer in the world. I'm not the best songwriter in the world. But I've gotten all of this gear. I've gotten to work with all of these companies because I work hard. I show up. I'm reading the Logic manual. I'm reading all of the updates. I'm practicing as much as I can. I'm making the content that everyone thinks is cringe. I'm putting in the work. And that is what's in front of you, the work. The work is always what's in front of you, and you just have to do it. And if you do it, it will pay off. If you do it strategically, it will triple pay off. So that's what I'm talking about here. Okay, enjoy the process. This is going to be the last little bit I'm going to tell you, but one of my first jobs was working as a caterer at the US Open. And one of my shifts was there was a speaker, and it was Billie Jean King. And I don't know how much you guys know about her, but she was actually in this big match with a man, Bobby Riggs, and it was a huge thing because it was like men versus woman, man versus woman, and it was the biggest thing of that time. And people asked her, how did it feel to win? And she said it was a relief. All of that training, all of that buildup, and when you finally win, it's a relief. And maybe you guys can relate to this. When you get the thing you really wanted or something that you wanted so bad, and then you finally get it, you realize, oh, that's it. I did the thing I wanted and I move on. So it's really, really important to enjoy the process. Enjoy making the albums. Enjoy making the content. Enjoy when you have 2,000 followers that you can connect with each one of them. Because once you get 200,000 followers, you won't be able to connect with each one of them, right? So you don't always have to be jumping to the final destination. Enjoy where we're at right now. And yeah, now we're gonna do the Q&A. So let me stop share. Hold on. Stop share. Okay, great. So there are a lot of you here today, and I want to try to answer as many of you as I can. So please type your questions in the chat. Let me build this out. Pop out. Where did it go now? Okay. So yeah, type your questions in the chat, and I'm going to go through as many of them as I can. Let's see. And if you had a question earlier, maybe type it again so I can see them all. I'm just going to the bottom here. Oh, okay. Someone asked, "Would you be my personal coach?" I do offer one-on-ones, and you guys will be getting a discount code for the one-on-one in a follow-up email. So if you are interested, you can check that out. What do I use to make my vision board? I use Canva. So I just find a bunch of designs on Canva and just put it on there. Maybe I'll make a video I did last year showing you guys how I make my vision board. Do you have any advice on how to make a living as a songwriter and what type of content to make as a songwriter? Yeah. So there's lots of ways you can make money as a songwriter. You can get into sync and doing songwriting for sync. You can obviously write for artists. You can be a songwriting coach and you can teach songwriting. So you kind of can do all of those things. So what you can do is try making some new content, like find a singer who is writing songs, and then maybe you can stitch her video or their video and say, I love your song. This is what I would do instead, or like maybe make some revisions. Or you can make a video of like Taylor Swift and say, this is what I would sound like if I wrote a verse on this Taylor Swift song, right? So when you guys are making social media stuff, you can think of it as like a digital portfolio. You can make a fun concept. I don't even know if this would work. I'm always just like spitballing ideas. Like maybe if you make a, I don't know, a band book or whatever, a specific band, and you can rewrite songs or something funny like that for those diehard fans. Maybe that would work for you too. Rewriting U2 songs in the voice of Gen Z or whatever, right? So you can just start thinking of cool different things to do that maybe people would like, and you just try a bunch of stuff and then you see what works. Um, would you recommend getting an LLC? I know I breezed through that slide, but you really only need an LLC if you have liabilities. As I mentioned before, you want to stay in the green. So a lot of people end up spending money on an LLC and then they never make a dollar. So you don't need to do that until you actually are making money and also have liabilities. LLCs are expensive because each year you also have to pay a certain amount to your accountant or for taxes to file a return with the LLC. And the sole proprietorship doesn't cost anything. So you can keep that in mind. What advice for anyone disappointed in streaming revenue? Okay. Nobody's ever making money from streaming, full stop. Streaming is a funnel. Streaming is a funnel for your fans. You should be looking at streaming royalties and whatever you make from streaming as the cherry on top. The people that have massive streams in general are spending a lot of money on marketing or a lot of time on marketing. If you all those people posting things, oh, I got 1 million streams this year, I got 5 million streams this year, many of them are working with labels that are taking 70% of their streams. They are paying for that. They are paying for those streams. You need to think of different ways to make money from your fans. The music is the funnel. So the streams are the funnel. So maybe once you get those Spotify fans, you can actually give out hard copies of your music, and in return you're getting their email, right? The email is really powerful. Then you can start inviting them to live stream shows, and you can ask for tips, or you're inviting them to shows, in real life shows. Maybe you're hosting for your diehard fans, you go to their house and you're doing an intimate show at their house. Maybe you're making them custom records. Maybe you're making them custom songs. Maybe you're making a book of your whole process writing your album. Maybe you're making a video documentary that people can buy or download or give a donation for, of your whole process, right? You have to think of different ways to get creative to make money from your fans other than the streams. And Spotify is another social media platform, if you really think about it. Spotify is the only music thing other than the radio that people don't have to pay to use. A lot of Spotify users aren't paid Spotify users, they're just listening to the ads. So this could be a great way for you to get new fans and get new recognition from Spotify streams. So you have to stop thinking about Spotify streams as a main source of income. It has to just be a side income and a different way to collect fans, and then figure out different ways for fans to support you. For instance, let me just use my own example. When I was first posting on TikTok, I was posting on TikTok for 9 months, 3 to 5 times every single day before I made $1. And then all of a sudden, my financial situation changed and I needed to start monetizing. So I made a MIDI pack, and I was just selling this MIDI pack for $5, and people were buying it. And some of the people buying it were like incredible piano players. And I messaged them and I'm like, why are you buying my $5 MIDI pack? And they were just like, oh, I just wanted a way to support you. So sometimes your fans want a way to support you. You can think of like, oh, a signed PDF poster that they can print out, and they might buy that digital download, even if it's a couple of dollars, or even if you think it's stupid, because they want to just figure out a way to support you. So just something to keep in mind. Um, do you ask for payment up front? That's a very good question. It really depends on the client, on the situation. For all of my one-on-ones, everyone has to pay up front. I cannot be going here and there asking for, you pay for the one-on-one and then you can come and then you can reschedule if you can't make it. But I don't take it after. For big projects, sometimes I'll ask for half up front. Sometimes if I'm feeling really ballsy, I'll ask for the whole thing up front, but then they might walk away. It depends. If it's like a super legit company I'm working with or person I'm working with, I trust them, then I could just get paid at the end. It really all depends. What you don't want to do is ever get stiffed. So sometimes it's worth it to ask for half up front, especially if you're doing a big project. And if it's someone you don't trust, you can say, okay, for this first time, I asked for the whole thing up front, and then afterwards we can work into something different. Um, okay, how do you balance attracting people in social media versus reaching out to them, offering to sub it and such? So I don't do any outreach now at all. Um, for me, even when I want people to sub into things, I will post a video. That's it, or post a story. I don't like doing the outreach and the spamming. I can't even get through all of my DMs. A lot of people in my DMs are actually pretty nasty to me and kind of ruin my day. So I don't even go through DMs a lot of times. I just wait for the people to come to me. Even in my emails, sometimes I'll get death threats. So over my content. So yeah, so you just kind of like work what goes for you. I really just like, if you signed up for the class and you're on my email list, I know you guys are a fan of me, so I can send you an email that way. That's pretty much the only outreach, and even that, I don't even send out a lot of things to my mailing list because I don't like it when people spam me, so I don't like to spam other people. Um, okay. So I don't want to talk too much about specifically social media stuff because I have like a whole separate social media class, and I can, if you guys are like more of the live classes, preferably, then if you prefer the live classes over the recorded class, like let me know and I can do another live social media class, but I do have that as an option. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'll just answer some of these quick questions. What is your process for planning out content each month? I don't have like a strategic planning out like in advance. I just do my content as I go, but I do post every day. And I have posted every day for 3 years, pretty much every day. Um, and I don't approach, a lot of people are asking me, how do you approach people? I don't approach anyone. I let everyone come to me, whether that be to sing gigs, whether that be to sing on tracks, whether that be to buy a class, whether that be to make content. I really have everything come to me. And even the times, there have been a few times that I've had reached out to people because I wanted their to try their gear. A lot of that time, even now, even with the big following I have, they still reject me. It's not a shoe in, so I don't even bother trying. I just wait for them to come to me. Um, Oh, someone asked, would you be comfortable sharing your income stream? Like what stream from courses and stuff? So I don't have the exact numbers, but my goal for the last 3 years was to work with music tech companies and to make content for them. Not even content that's on my pages, on their channels too, and music on their channels and sample packs. I do a lot of sample packs and stuff, vocal packs that you don't even know about. They're just in their DAW or their plugins. So that, surprise surprise, is my biggest revenue for the last 3 years by far. And then I've gotten a small cherry on top from various singing gigs, from even selling courses. Even though I have sold quite a lot of copies of my social media class, I have only have that one course, and now I'm working on a Logic Pro, things you didn't know, a Logic Pro book and guide. That's my other new big project. But really, these are just the small cherries on top because my main thing was working with music tech companies. I think this next year in 2024, my goal is to make more products and is to do more things, building up my own businesses, because now I really want to be the music tech company. Like I want to be it. So that's what I'm working on, and that's my goal. So ideally, when you have your main goal, that should be your main income, and then you can do all those other things, the cherry on tops, that help you build up the whatever your financial goal for the month is. How do you deal with negativity from social media? So I used to struggle a lot more than I do now. I finally have flipped my mindset with it, and I really just view it as a metric of success. That's the only way to think about it, because if I'm getting enough visibility that people love to hate me or hate to love me, then that was the goal all along. I'm not making these videos for my health. I want them to be seen. So that's kind of how I've dealt with it. So you just kind of have to switch your mindset, really. Can you explain royalties? I'm not going to go into a big thing with royalties. I have in the past partnered with people to do classes on Spotify and how to make money on Spotify and how to do that stuff. So if you guys are interested in those classes, I will try to put those on again. Um, oh, let's see. I'm trying to pick out like the true business classes. Um, I mean the true business questions. I'm trying to search through. Um, So a lot of people are asking, how do I sell vocal arrangements? How do I sell this? How do I do that? So the way to do it is, once you figure out your goal, the next question you should ask yourself are, who are the fans and clients that would support that goal? So for instance, how do I sell vocal arrangements? Okay, next question is, who needs vocal arrangements? Who would buy those, right? So now you can start thinking into it. Maybe it's choir directors. Maybe it's cheerleading coaches that need weird vocal arrangements for their cheer competitions. Maybe it's ice skating competitions that need weird vocal arrangements for that. Then you start thinking about those nitty gritty. And then you're like, okay, now I know who are the people that will buy this. Now, what kind of content, or how can I reach them? How can I find their email addresses to spam them? How can I go to the in real events to meet them? Maybe you go to the cheer competitions and you go up to the coaches and you give them your virtual business card, or say, hey, I make cheer mixes for you. like I'll give you one for free for you to try out. You know, you start getting creative. So it's step 1, what do you want to do? Step 2, who are the people that support that goal or sale? And then step 3, where can you find them? How can you reach them? What kind of content would they like to see? If I take myself as an example, step 1 for me is I want to work with music tech companies and make content for them. Step 2, who are the people that support that? Well, I really wanted to work with Apple. I wanted them to see my content. Okay, what kind of content would they like to see? Here's a cool Logic Pro tip. And I made enough of those videos that Apple did see them, and then they reached out to me. I didn't have to go and try to knock on Apple's door and spam them. They'd be like, "Who is this girl? I don't know her." Now they know me and they came to me, right? So that's the way to do it. I hope that makes sense. Um, when you started to monetize, was all your setup the Logic one, plugin wise and whatnot? So when I was monetizing, I was always having like multiple revenues. So I was still singing gigs, I was making content. And then, you know, as I got more and more comfortable with each thing, you can slowly drop ones off that you're not interested anymore. And that it's kind of like a balancing act. Um, okay, so somebody said, I see your social thumbnails look very much the same across the grid. Is that intentional play? It's really it's what I was talking about before with branding, right? I try to film my videos in the same spot every single time. I pretty much wear similar clothing. I try to have my hair ish the same, giving some allowances of change and aging. But that is it. That's all the branding I do. I'm not good at organizing each thumbnail. I never wanted to be one of those like fashionable Instagram people that have like a certain cool thing on each video or have a color scheme. I'm not good with that. I just kind of stick to the same stuff over and over again, and it just kind of plays itself out that way. So if you build build a little set in your studio or in your house or something that you can record your videos in all the time, and it will just do the branding for you. Um okay, I'm trying to go down to some of the stuff. So how to get sample packs on Splice. So again, if you start building up your own pages and your own stuff, they will come to you. You can even make a video saying, I would love to work with Splice. It's my dream to get samples on Splice. Here are some samples I've made. If someone sees this, please send this to someone at Splice, right? And if they like your video and if it gets to them and if you've made enough of them, they will reach out to you. Yes, we love your samples. We'd love to work with you. It's really that simple. I know that sounds crazy, but if you do it enough times and you get enough visibility, you could even do it with someone like, oh, I've been dying to produce for Lizzo. My goal is to produce for Lizzo. Here are 3 tracks that would be perfect for Lizzo. And you post those videos over and over and over again every single day. And if they're good tracks, right? Obviously, you have to be good. If they're good tracks, either Lizzo will see it because they are on these apps, or someone like Lizzo will see it and hire you. It's that simple. Um, Have you taken music production or engineering courses? So, the way I started learning how to produce music was when COVID was happening and I kept waiting for my gigs to come back. I was meant to go on the cruise ship with the girl group, the New York Harmonics, and I was praying for that to come back. And alas, it didn't. And by the time it did come back, I had already had a new career. I was scrolling around on Facebook and an ad popped up that said learn how to produce in 30 days. And I was like, this is so stupid. Why am I going to learn how to produce on this course when I went to Berkeley and I didn't learn how to produce? But I clicked on the course and it had a sale and it was like 75 bucks or something. So I was like, oh, let me just do it. I have nothing else to do. I took the course. It was on this website called Learn Monthly and it was by Blanks, and I don't know if Learn Monthly even exists anymore, and I don't know if they even sell this course in this way anymore. But that course single-handedly changed my life. Once I learned how to program drum beats, I was like, great, I can produce music. That for me was like a drum pattern was like rocket science to me. I thought it was just like something that only the super elite people can do. So once I learned how to do that, I was able to start producing music. So yeah, that was the course I took. Um, So, what are some of the sync events you have attended for networking? I haven't attended any sync events personally because doing sync music is not something I'm passionate about or want to spend my time doing. But if anyone here has been to a sync event that has worked for them, please put it in the chat. There's some in every city all the time. There's always sync networking events. There's so many videos and music and things that need there's so many videos that need music to them. So like the sync world is crazy right now. There's so many opportunities. So definitely put that in there if you guys know of one or want to go to one. Do you have any advice for when your friends and family are telling you to be realistic and get a real job? I mean, what's the advice? Ignore them, right? Like I said, this is to be successful in as an entrepreneur in general, is to just have that undying audacity. I mean, think about Steve Jobs when he said he's going to make a computer called Apple. Like, why would you name a computer Apple? Like, that's so stupid. And I'm sure he told people and they laughed in his face. But he just believed in himself. It's like that unwavering belief. It doesn't matter if you think I'm stupid, I'm doing this. And if I have to, if the difference is, okay, I'm going to have a crummy job. First of all, no job is easy. Even if you want to open a restaurant, it's not easy. If you want to make a housekeeping business, it's not easy. If you want to cut trees, it's not easy. So there's nothing in the world that's actually easy anyways. So you might as well struggle doing what you want to do. So that's pretty much what I do, what I say to people. People have always laughed at me. I'm like one of those people that just constantly get laughed at, and I don't care. I really don't. Um, okay. Where did you sell your MIDI pack or PDFs? Well, now my MIDI pack is free, so you guys can actually just download it if you want. I decided to make it free like ages ago. But when I first was doing that, I think I did it on Shopify because Shopify was cheaper. And now I use Kajabi. I do everything on Kajabi. It's kind of like an all-in-one thing, but it is super expensive. It's $200 a month. And like I said, it's really only necessary if you are selling enough stuff. And I'm able to sell enough stuff each month for it to be worth it. Quality versus quantity. So you always want to strive for quality, right? But you have to have a fine balance of how much quality do you need? I'm not a perfectionist. Nothing about my brand is being a perfectionist. My content style is very much guerrilla style, and that has worked for me and for my brand. Now that might not work for every brand, and maybe you need to make less videos because you have to spend more time on the quality. But that doesn't mean you're not consistent. Like I have a friend that posts a high quality video every Sunday night, and he just does one video once a week, and every single time he posts it, it gets millions of views or a lot of views because it's something that works. He knows that works, and he has to spend hours and hours and hours. It takes him all week to do it, right? For me, I don't have that. And people will say, "Oh, can you make it a high quality video, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "No, because I'm not going to spend 8 hours on a video if I can cut a bunch of corners and get my point across in, an hour. That's just not what works for me and my brand. So you're just going to have to decide what works for you and your brand. But it doesn't really matter quality, quantity, it's just consistency. Quality, quantity plus consistency, right? If you can stick to 4 or 5 videos a week, that's more important than posting every day. But you still has to post consistently. Consistent growth needs consistent post. You have to feed the machine constantly. Um, okay, some of these are repeat questions. Uh I'm sorry if I'm not able to get to everyone's question, but we still have 15 minutes, so you can still type in questions if I don't get to them. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna actually go to the bottom. And if anyone has more questions, just type them in here. Oh yes. So there will be a replay, just so everybody knows. The replay is going to be sent from a Boombox email. So open up that email if you want to watch the replay, and check your spam. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions that I missed. Oh, how many hours a week do you work? So, this is a great question. When you're working for someone else, you might work 40 hours a week. When you're working for yourself, you work hundreds of hours a week. I don't even know. I'm always working. Even when I'm out and about, I'm always working. When I'm sleeping, I'm working. I'm convinced I'm just always working. I'm always coming up with ideas. I'm a little bit of a workaholic, but that's why you have to enjoy what you're doing, because if you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't always feel like work, you know? And when it gets to the point for me where I'm working with clients and I'm working on projects that I'm not enjoying and it does feel like work, that's when I have to have the confidence to say no to those jobs, even if they are offering me 10K, even if they are offering me 50K. If I'm going to be miserable, I have to have the confidence to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work on this project that's going to make me 1,000. And then I adjust my monthly budgets from then. And maybe I don't go out to eat as much that month. Life is too short to be miserable. So that's what it is. And I do work an obscene amount of hours. Which is why I do force myself to go on my 10,000 steps every day. I do force myself to work out. I have to force myself. I have to schedule in social things so I can pull myself away from work, because there's not 1 minute in one time of the day that I can't be doing something productive. Well, if it's learning something new, whether it's working on a new product, whether if it's, responding to emails, whether it's making more content for you guys, like there's just an endless list of things I need to do every single day. I need to clone myself. That's what I need to learn how to do. Okay. I'm seeing. I'm not sure if do you follow a routine in your workday? I do follow a routine, and that is why I made my digital planner. Something that helps me a lot is time blocking and lists, and also non-negotiable tasks. Like my non-negotiable task every day is 10,000 steps. Like walk outside, walk somewhere. I have like a walking treadmill also downstairs for like under the desk. So that is important. And then, yeah, I stick to a routine. Like I make sure I post a piece of content every single day. I'm a little chaotic with my routine, but to stay productive is in that planner. And I will give you guys a discount code also for that planner if you wanted to get that and check it out. It's just a thing you can download and print out. Maybe some of you here have it. Okay. So please answer the pros and cons of starting a new social media. You don't necessarily need to start a new page. You can just work on the page you already have, unless you want to keep your private life. As I said, I have a lot of information specifically in my social media class. Every single thing I do post on my channel is a strategy. I don't post when I'm eating for lunch. I don't post when I'm on vacation, where I'm at, what I'm doing. Every single thing I post is to work with music tech companies, or now to build a whole music tech company, right? Like my own thing, sides, productions, whatever. I only post for that strategy. You will never catch me posting about the political things. You'll never catch me posting about anything else ever. So if you want to keep your own page and you want to have that stuff for you, then you can build a new one. But if you don't, you can just build on top of this. For instance, I'm sure all of the people that were following me from high school don't follow me anymore because they're not interested in my Logic Pro tips. Like they're just not. So I I'm happy to lose them. I don't need them in my following me. Um okay. So what would your business model as an artist be? So this is a good question. Again, you have to decide, okay, what kind of artist are you? Specifically, are you a SZA type artist? Are you an R&B type artist? Whatever it is. And then if you don't really know how to define that, you can try asking yourself, who would you go on tour with, or who would you open up for? And then you can start understanding that. That's step number one. And step number two are, who are the fans that would like you? And I'm not talking about like ages, girls ages 10 to 12, even deeper than that, like people who love, R&B soul, people who travel 4 or 5 times a year, people that would pay X amount of dollars for a ticket, people that wear Doc Martens, like Boy Genius fans, they're all wearing Doc Martens. And then you could start deciding, okay, what kind of, first of all, how do I find them? Right. And then once you figure out how to find them and you start building up your social media or your mailing list, or you're playing shows and you're going on tour with those people, once you've built up those fans, this is where a lot of artists stop. They build up their fans and then they realize, okay, how can I make money off these fans? Now you start thinking, okay, what are ways that these fans can support me? So unless you do a one-on-one, I can't like answer all these questions for every single person right now, but those are the steps. One, what do you want to do? Two, who are the people that support that, whether that's artists, whether that's mixing, whether that's mastering, whether that's an instrumentalist. Three, what kind of content, how can you reach them, what kind of events are they at, what kind of shows do they attend? And then four, how are ways they can support you, what can you sell them, what would they buy, what would they show up to? So those are the main questions you need to ask yourself, and that's the main strategy that you start to build. um so I someone asked, does all of this work outside of the US? Yes, really. I mean, I work with half of my business is outside of the US. The world is your oyster now, literally. Like, I'm sure people here are from all over the world, maybe almost every continent. Like, the world is so small now with the internet. So you could actually be an artist in Missouri and have all of your fans in Japan, and you never even been to Japan. Like, it's that crazy. You just never know where your fans are. So you like, it's not that you don't know where your fans are, is you can reach so many people. You can reach so much now with the internet. So I would say that all of this applies to anywhere or anyone. Okay, so we have time for maybe two or three more questions. So I'll answer just if, let's see. I don't want to answer specifically music, social media questions, but let's see what other questions. Okay, can you tell us about your routine when you first started? That's a great question. So when I was first starting, um, I was doing the music production stuff during COVID, right? And I was posting on TikTok every single day, 3 to 5 times a day, in the hopes to work with Apple, in the hopes to work with music tech companies. And I was doing that. And then all of a sudden, my singing gigs were coming back. And this is when I had to really decide, and I had to really think, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Because I was torn. I was actually could go on the ships with the New York Harmonics because the gigs came back. Did I still want to do that job? Did I still want to build that business? Did I still want to run around for gigs? What was important to me? And I saw a lot of people that had their COVID fun projects and then bail on them once COVID was over, right? Now you could go back out in the world. Now you could go do the things you were doing pre-COVID. So I had to really decide what it is I wanted to do. Did I want to get to continue to work from home in my sweatpants, or did I want to go back to putting on glam and doing my hair and doing a ton of makeup and wearing heels? So because I decided I wanted to stick with the content creation, that's when I really had to be like, okay, I need to start monetizing. I need to start building up my music production business, and I had to take it really seriously. So my routine was really the same as it was now. Like, well, maybe even more. I was posting a lot more then. I was posting 3 to 5 times a day, which was too much. Now I just post once a day. But yeah, I was just showing up, getting in the studio, learning something new every day, making videos, writing music. I was doing 30-minute 8-bar loops. That's kind of how I was trying to become better at producing, was doing a 30-minute 8-bar loop. And yeah, that's pretty much my routine. And like I said, I have my digital planner that you guys can follow with how I kind of build each day and doing the time blocking and whatnot. Um, Oh, how do you maintain healthy relationships? That's really hard. I'm really lucky because my boyfriend is also a music producer, and he's really fine for me to lock myself in my studio all day, and he doesn't get mad if we're out to dinner and I'm on my phone or I'm responding to an email. So you kind of have to surround yourself with people that understand this lifestyle. But I do try to be aware of it. Like, when I'm out and about with maybe friends that wouldn't understand that, I try to keep my phone in my pocket, and I try to, detach when I can. So it's just kind of having a balance and also having the tough conversations with people so that they can understand really the kind of work you do. And when I'm creative or when I'm in the zone or recording vocals, I don't want somebody to be coming in. And my boyfriend understands that because he's the same way. So there's that. Sorry, the dogs are going to freak out. Okay, I think we have time for two more questions. Oh yeah, someone said that my planner is awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole, for getting it. I hope it helps. So what if you don't really know what your strategy is? So this is you just need to start filling in these blanks. And if you don't know what it is you want to do, and that part, you need to start thinking about what is it that you want to feel, you know? uh do you desperately seek performing live? Do you want to feel that sensation of people singing your songs back to you, people clapping to you? Do you not mind sleeping on a tour bus for 9 months? Like what is it that's important to you? Like for me, I was willing to give up that sensation of having an audience in person, that even though I'd been performing for 10 years, I didn't want to have to travel to gigs. I didn't want to have to wear makeup. So that was kind of how I built in what is it that I want to do. So that's why I tell you guys that's step one. Figure out what you want to do, and then you can go into the following steps. Um, okay. So I can take one last question. So let's see if I can find one good one. Oh, um, let's see. Question. There are so many factors to be able to have a solid connection with solid companies, groups, talents, etc. Do you have any advice for a person who lives in a third world country with a local business and limitations and the world's currency to be able to connect to experts and groups? I think you just need to be authentically you, right? You need to make content, make videos that are authentic to you, because believe it or not, people don't want to work with everybody that's doing the same thing, right? There's a reason people choose to work with me instead of working with somebody that maybe knows a lot more than me, because I represent something different. I represent maybe the women, or maybe I represent, singer songwriters that don't have a huge tech background but just want to be able to present things in a different way. So people will want to work with you because you're in a different part of the world, that you have different experiences and you have different outside you have different views of things, and they will want to work with you, and they'll be happy to be able to find you to work with you. So you just have to make content that is honest and is authentic and represents you best. I hope that helps. Oh, I'm sorry I missed your question, Franklin. I've been going through so many of these, and, sorry about that. But now I answered. I hope that helps. Okay. So I'll answer this last question. Would you recommend a website for selling merchandise and items like courses? So if you're doing courses, something you will need something like Kajabi. I don't know the other ones. That's the one I use. But like I said, that one's really expensive. It's $200 a month. And I don't recommend anybody selling courses until you've built up a fan base and built up an audience. Please keep in mind, I posted 3 to 5 times on TikTok for 9 months before I made $1 from anybody, literally. So you want to wait as long as you can to monetize until you have those true fans, and then you could start monetizing. But then there's other places that I think that do offer cheaper things. Someone's saying official artists. Oh, I don't know what that is. Um, and then somebody asked how many fans before monetizing. You can kind of just feel it out. I mean, I would try to get for at least like 5,000 true fans, like actually true fans. And then maybe if 1% of those people buy, that's good. There are different ways that you can sell courses. There are people that sell courses through marketing and paying for ads. And if you have a budget to do that, then you can make money that way. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to be in the negative. I didn't know if I would make money back. A lot of people succeed that way, and a lot of people fail that way and lose a lot of money. So it's kind of where you're at financially and what kind of financial risks you can take. But we are out of time, unfortunately. I hope you all learned something new. I hope this was inspiring. I hope this was motivating. I really appreciate you all being here at my largest class yet. Um, so you will be getting a recording of this. It's going to be sent from Boombox. Oh, actually, Jess, I forgot. Did you want to say something?
Oh, honestly, I was just going with the flow and enjoying it. And you know what? Like, no, I don't really want to say anything other than you'll be getting the replay from us, and there'll be some goodies in there for you, some free shit we put together for you, and we hope you enjoy and Merry Christmas. But let's say for sure that we would love to do a class for you in January that's social media based. I think it would be super fun to hop on that. And you have feedback happening on January 4th on with us on Instagram. And so just more to come. And I love the
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, we're doing a live stream. That's with me and you, Jess, right? Like a live stream.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing a live stream to listening to your songs on Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. That's on January 4th. And yeah, we'll do another class in January. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Boombox, for sponsoring.
hi everyone.
Okay, bye, everybody.